Okay, so picture this. It's 1943, and World War II is hanging right in the balance. Now, the Allies are about to kick off two of the most incredible plans of the entire war. And they're happening at the exact same time, on opposite sides of the globe. One is this massive, elaborate lie in Europe that involves a dead body. The other, it's a single deadly truth, snatched right out of the sky over the Pacific. We're going to break down how both of these strategies, one of grand deception, the other of surgical precision, completely change the game.
I mean, it sounds like something out of a spy novel, right? But this is the absolute heart of our story today. In Europe, the Allies literally used a corpse carrying a brilliant lie to send the entire German army on a wild goose chase. At the same time, in the Pacific, a single intercepted message kicks off a mission to take out one of Japan's most important and brilliant leaders. Two fronts, two unbelievably daring plans.
All right, first up, let's head over to Europe. The Allies were ready to start pushing into Axis territory, but they had this huge problem. How do you invade without walking straight into a trap? Well, their solution was genius. It wasn't about fighting harder, it was about lying smarter.
So, here was the big problem the Allies were staring at: Sicily. It was the perfect, most obvious place to launch an invasion of Italy, what Churchill famously called the soft underbelly of Europe. The thing is, the Axis powers knew it was obvious too. A direct assault? That would have been a guaranteed bloodbath. So the Allies had to figure out a way to make the Germans look literally anywhere else.
And this is how they did it. Enter Operation Mincemeat. The whole thing was an act of pure subterfuge, a really complex deception. The idea wasn't to overpower the enemy, but to completely outthink them. The goal was simple but bold. Invent a totally fictional invasion of Greece and Sardinia and hope the enemy buys it hook, line, and sinker.
The plan itself was just audacious. First, they needed bait. So they got a body, created a whole fake identity for him as a British Royal Marine, and then chained a briefcase full of phony invasion plans right to his wrist. Then came the drop. They took the body out and released it off the coast of Spain, which was a neutral country, but one they knew was crawling with German spies. The hope, the prayer, really, was that the Spanish authorities would find the body, and those top-secret plans would find their way straight to Hitler's desk.
And you know what? It worked better than they could have ever dreamed. Look at this timeline. On April 1st, the body is dropped. Just a month later, on May 2nd, Hitler has completely taken the bait. He's telling his generals that the main Allied invasion is coming to Greece. He starts moving entire divisions, ships, and patrols away from Sicily. So, when the Allies launch the real invasion, Operation Husky, on July 3rd, they land on the shores of a much weaker, unprepared island.
It was a spectacular success. I mean, the Allies took Sicily way faster and with far fewer casualties than anyone thought possible. The Great Deception had paved the way for a massive victory.
But while this incredible lie was playing out in Europe, a totally different kind of high-stakes game of wits was happening in the Pacific.
Okay, so let's jump across the globe now to the Pacific theater. And the strategy here could not have been more different. This wasn't about misdirecting a huge army. No. This was about a single, precise, and absolutely devastating strike against just one man.
Now, to really get this operation, you have to understand the bigger picture. The Allies were deep in this brutal, grinding campaign of island hopping. It was this slow, painful advance across the Pacific, capturing one island at a time to get closer to Japan. Every victory was costly, but what if they could land a single blow that was worth more than taking a dozen islands?
And this was the target. Admiral Yamamoto. This guy wasn't just any admiral. He was the commander-in-chief of Japan's entire fleet. He was the brilliant architect behind the attack on Pearl Harbor. To the American forces, he was more than a general. He was a symbol of the war itself. Taking him out would be a massive, massive win, both strategically and psychologically.
The mission was codenamed Operation Vengeance, and it was the total opposite of mincemeat. It all started with this incredible piece of intelligence. U.S. codebreakers intercepted a secret message that laid out Yamamoto's exact flight itinerary. So the mission became this high-risk gamble. Could they send a squadron of fighters on one of the longest interception missions ever attempted to ambush his plane in the middle of nowhere? Well, on April 18, 1943, against all odds, they found him. The strike was a success.
The impact was just immediate and immense. Japan lost its most revered military strategist, and the morale of the Japanese Navy completely tanked. For the Allies, this was way more than just revenge for Pearl Harbor. It was proof that they were closing in, that they could strike at the very heart of the enemy's command.
So let's pull back and bring these two incredible stories together. In the very same year, 1943, the Allies pulled off two wildly different but equally game-changing operations that really did alter the course of the entire war.
Just look at the contrast. In Europe, the tactic was this grand deception, a brilliant chess move designed to fool and misdirect an entire army. In the Pacific, it was a targeted kill, a sniper shot aimed at taking out one single, incredibly important person. One operation was built on an ingenious lie. The other was made possible by a critical truth the enemy never should have let slip.
So what are the big takeaways from 1943? Well, first, it shows that there is no one-size-fits-all path to victory. You have to adapt your strategy to the situation. Second, this was the year that proved intelligence wasn't just a helpful tool, it was a weapon, every bit as powerful as a fleet of bombers. And finally, these two victories, achieved in such different ways, sent a clear message to the world. The momentum of the war was shifting for good, and the Allies were taking control.
Which really leaves us with one last question. Think about. 1943 gave us a masterclass in both brute force and brilliant strategy. But it makes you wonder, when everything is on the line, what's truly more powerful? The overwhelming force of a massive army or the elegant, game-changing power of a single brilliant idea?